10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds. Reserve time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BTS Americas 2. We are in semifinal action in Game 3 hype here. It's Team Imagine going up against Complexity Gaming. It was Imagine who bested Complexity in Game 1, and then we just saw destruction from Complexity in Game 2. So now, what team will be moving on to face C9 in the grand finals of BTS Americas and get one step closer to $10,000 of prize money? We'll find out in just a moment. I'm coL Guy for Beyond the Summit, joined again from Blaze remotely. And here we go, Blaze. The opening matchup. They're going to be ridding of the Gyro and the Lesh from Imagine side. Complexity rid of Naga. So we won't be seeing a Naga. No 3 straight Naga games. They also get rid of Lena, but now they're going to also grab the Tusk here. So for Imagine, what's the appropriate response? We'll find out. Maybe an early commitment to a bounty hunter for them? We'll have to see.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of options here. There's a lot of ways they can run. And I'm not sure. Well, they seem to actually really want to put the TA in phase 1 because last time they left it to phase 2, I'm very certain that Shibi wanted it for their 4th pick, but it got grabbed up by Swindles first. So they go ahead. They don't leave that a chance. They pick up the TA here, and I do think that Complexity's bans have evolved very intelligently, and I think that Naga, Siren, and Lena are probably the 2 best heroes to ban against Team Imagine at this point. I mean, the Storm Spirit is very scary, but it isn't. There's reasons that it's scary, and it's mostly because if you're not drafting around it properly. But here I expect them to let the storm through at least this first phase and draft around it. Draft to be able to counter it as needed. And in this case, they're also facing off the TA, which has their own sets of counters and in-damage overtime effects. The Earthshaker is going to be the pairing, though. And this gives a lot of counterplay potential for Team Imagine when it comes to the mid matchup, when it comes to just roaming around. Earthshaker's Fisher is just insane. And I would almost say that Complexity, maybe not this phase, but second phase should probably look towards a Rubik. Just get that Fisher into your own hands.
Yeah, and that way they are also pre-prepared in case Imagine, keep this Earthshaker in that support position, which we've already seen them do, and, maybe they get tantalized to pick up a clock. It'd be nice to have that Rubik ahead of time. We'll have to see, though, if that seems to be the immediate option for them, or maybe they see the success they got with Z-Freak on his Undying, and is it worth it to them to maybe give that dual lane another go, or they could get a Spirit Breaker maybe and just kind of keep doing that Complexity aggressive offlane?
It's not bad. I think that you're risking getting hit by like Ancient Apparition and yep. There's the Bananamancer back again. Gonna call us a solo mid just because I hate every other kind of Venomancer, to be honest. Off lane, safe lane, support, it doesn't matter. I could see a support working in a very fringe sense if you do it exactly perfectly, but in this case I think it's just gonna be a solo mid. Veno versus TA matchup.
Yeah, the Refraction hates the wards. I mean, I'm anticipating they're doing it like old school. I remember like Fear played a mid lane Veno, is very pesky, constant high ground wards, and could be just the counter TA, the classic counter to TA. But what are the shortcomings to a Venomancer Blaze that might prove to be a problem outside of this? I mean, you can't just. Is it worth it that much? It's like, we don't want TA to do TA things mid, so let's just get a Venomancer to do it? And how does everything else work with the Venomancer and what he can contribute to the game? It
depends on what gets let through to phase 2. I think if Complexity can get a Bloodseeker on top of it, that would be pretty insane. The Venomancer Poison Nova with the Bloodseeker is great. Otherwise, Ancient Apparition's Ice Blast is a really good synergy ultimate. Poison Nova Ice Blast, we saw it back in TI4, was actually really well manipulated by Team Newbie, and that combo right there, like, that is a kill combo. You can drop people down to the Shatter Threshold easily. There's no way to heal back from it, and then they just die. So I would say, yeah, AA or Bloodseeker are the 2 key picks, and they don't ban either. They ban the Undying. I can understand they're worried about that duo, the Tusk Undying, the Tusk Techies that you were talking about. They don't want to have to draft around that, but now they're going to have to find new ways to deal with this Venomancer through magic resistance and a lot of other good stuff.
Which, Ice Frog has blessed us with things like the Glimmer Cape, which certainly can help out against a Venomancer a bit, but that is single target after all, so maybe you put more on getting someone who could get you know, like a pipe or something like that. The first thing that comes to my mind, and you're seeing a Tusk who could snowball chase you, and you have to get someone who can magic resist, wasn't the Pudge. It was actually going to be a Centaur, maybe. But then again, Jenkins, I don't know if he plays my Centaur, but what he does play, he plays Pudge. And they commit for it as a third pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great ways to just kind of pull somebody out of position in this case. The Venomancer is a very slow hero, and we saw the last time that Jenkins played Pudge, he liked to rotate towards mid. He finds opportunities where the creep wave is out of his control. He's not going to get experience anyways, and he just grabs himself a smoke or finds a point where he's not being scouted and goes in for rotation. So he rotates, he gets the hook. Venomancer, slow hero. So you can either catch him out with Fisher, you can catch him out with hook, if he ever leaves the top of his steps. That being said, now we're looking at Shadow Demon, and the plague is spreading, man. Shadow Demon, one of my favorite heroes, but does seem to be a little understated in this metagame in general. Has great reactive tools, good against TA again. This TA is going to do nothing this game, by the way. Like, get to Venomous Gale or Demonic Purge. Yeah. It doesn't matter. She'll lose her refraction. She won't get in melee range of anything. It's going to be a rough TA game. But that said, what else are they getting out of this Shadow Demon? They need more than that. And I was assuming a kill combo. Maybe you could go to the really old school. Since we're going old school, you could go for like a Mirana. But I also like Shadow Demon Kunkka. Obviously, the Lena the Leshrac both banned. Just really need some follow through with this Eridar.
Yeah, I agree with that. They could follow it up if this is going to be an MJW Tusk. They could still get like the Dazzle and have the Shadow Demon Dazzle heal bombs. I mean, those are always fun to see. But overall, just a fun draft so far. It almost makes me feel like we're playing elimination mode or something. The way they're pulling out first pick TA, then the Venomancer in the phase, Pudge and Shadow Demon, some nice unfamiliar faces here. We get to the back end of 6.84, and maybe we'll get to see more of these faces more often. Who really knows? But we wait now. The response for Team Imagine here. They already got the one support grab and Earthshaker, still looking for what could be their safe lane core farmer, and then their secondary support to go in tandem with this Earthshaker now. Maybe they themselves could consider the Rubik. You get that passive that could help with the tremendous amount of magic damage coming out from the Venomancer. And there's still some good spell options out there for him to steal up. We'll have to see. Or maybe they take the Dazzle for themselves. Who knows?
Dazzle would not be bad, honestly. I think Dazzle has some good strength in reacting to these tough situations. So it keeps people in the fight. The Wyvern does provide her own potential, but I kind of think like this is just this Wyvern pick isn't really indicative of like a specific game plan. It's just an overall good hero that can do a lot. And it's like, okay, well, if we need to get the Winter's Curse out on the Venomancer, that's what we'll do. If we need to kind of combo up or Cold Embrace or just respond to these tough situations, then we'll do that. Oh my gosh, complexity. Shadow Demon Shen, one of the most amazing combos in metagames past, and hasn't been seen, and this feels like forever.
Is it like the free send back? Is that what you're talking about? Is that part? I know that's part of it, where you can get an easy send back to Fountain, and you pull out the disruption, and you can get easily back to base. But is there more to it that makes this so potent, Blaze? Chen we haven't seen in quite a while.
It's laning phase, man. Disruption is the perfect spell to set up all of Chen's creeps. You can get a Centaur Stomp, a Hellbear Smash. You can get the Dark Troll in there. Like, everybody just goes and gets kills because of that disruption. Chen has a problem closing that last, like, 400 units of distance, and the Shadow Demon Disruption just lets that happen. So, other than that, it's essentially, right now they're looking at raw HP advantage. You look at the Poison Nova and the Hand of God. That's negative health for Team Imagine over time. You get burst heal for Chen. You make sure that the play is extended, so the Venomancer actually gets to do his job, and then the Chen keeps people going. Beyond that, I'm not sure about if there's anything for the send back. The Test of Faith is pretty interesting. It has some good potential, like you said, Test of Faith and then disrupt them, and that'll guarantee salvation, but that would imply a very hard carry, and I'm not sure if this draft really wants a very hard carry. They've got a lot of early game, a lot of death ball, a lot of lane pressure, and I think they just kind of want like a mid-game core to get involved here. Yeah, just, I don't know, Viper or Razor obviously come to mind as the kind of death ball anchors, but...
Yeah, someone who, if they get caught out by a hook, it's not the end of the world. They need some way to either just kind of be tanky and could stand and plant and fight their way out from trouble, or elusive to get away from the trouble at hand. It's also nice that they have the Chen. That means more creeps and more targets that potentially Pudge could accidentally hook or try to work around, so it could be a bit frustrating. But the last pick, they're going back for it once again. It looks like Blaze Storm Spirit going to be grabbed up here. Is this enough to propose a lane swap and try to get TA away from this Venomancer and put Storm in her place?
Yeah, I think it could work fine. I think that both Chibi and France are comfortable in either the safe lane or the mid lane on these heroes, and we've seen from, like, Root, for example, that they run safe lane TA all the time. So I could see safe lane TA, mid Storm, managing that matchup pretty well. No Bloodseeker, no Razor Viper. We're going to see the Luna here. You get the push power, you get the Lunar Blessing, and that's going to allow Shadow Demon Chen to destroy towers, Venomancer behind them really nicely. But I feel like there's still a lot of weaknesses to it. I mean, you're not going to be up like a Blade Mail on Pudge, I don't think. But you're still going to be like, they can find a way to burst down Luna. I feel like Ziz could be kind of more of a liability here. You really need to be on the point with Chen's heals, I would say, in this game.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of pressure here on Jenkins to perform for his Pudge in the mid game? We've seen games from both aspects where Jenkins will go into that mid lane, get that early mid game gank, and they kind of can take over from there. But if he ends up not being able to succeed and he turns into just that walking fisherman, could that prove to be trouble for Imagine? Because their late game, is it going to be enough for just the Luna? I mean, it very well could be. It's a Storm Spirit after all. I mean, you can never scoff at a Storm Spirit's late game if he doesn't get completely shut down. So I don't know. Is there a lot on Jenkins for his Pudge?
It's tough. It's a lot. I would say mostly because of what he's up against here. I mean, a Pudge can get caught out just as well as anybody else. He's damn tanky, but one spell connects the way that they don't expect it to, and Jenkins could be losing his life here. One really key thing to mention is that Pudge hates Chen. Chen's block hooks all damn day, and then of course he always is the self-support. He's warding like crazy, and Pudge hates it. He wants to surprise people. So if to break smokes, to keep wards up, to have neutral creeps block hooks and waste that spell, then yeah, I could see that Jenkins will have really a lot of problems getting off the ground. Not that he absolutely has to, because as you mentioned, they still have some great late game potential, but it's what you're looking for if you're going to draft the Pudge.
Well, here we go, folks. It's the start of our final game today. It's Game 3 of Complexity going against Imagine. We saw earlier Cloud9 best Team Fire and secure their spot in the Grand Finals, and we're awaiting who their opponent might be. And nothing better than taking it to all the way a 3-game hype stretch and seeing a lot of fresh new faces on the Dota map that we haven't seen in quite a while. So it'll be a pleasure, as always, to bring you the coverage. Bottom lane, it looks like Complexity will be able to secure the rune for themselves. Jenkins will have to kind of scoff it off and head to bottom. The unfortunate thing for Pudge is, unless he has insistence, which he does have this game, and he's going to be very thankful for, and Nusham, who's going to be able to block it out. Otherwise, Pudge really doesn't have that Tusk, Shard, or Clockwork Cog factor. He has to rely on maybe something like this just to give him a little bit of a boost. Getting that level 2, having the first hook, and the rot is very, very important. So I don't think it'd be very often that you'd see them commit for something like this Pudge without having something like the Earthshaker already in hand.
Sure. Another nice thing is that the Fissure is a great setup for the hook as well.
Of course.
I mean, they do shift the positioning a little bit, but generally speaking, just that 1 second stun is going to be enough for you to connect with your spell. So I would say he's in an okay spot. The Creequilibrium is certainly helping. And Way 2 is only just now going for a single pull that he'll probably try to double up. But yeah, I think there's going to be some good roaming potential and probably some smokes coming out for Imagine within the next 2 minutes.
So as Jenkins will have to deal now with the pull back, which is not terrible for him. He's used to even going on those frequent early rotations towards the mid lane. We scope out top lane now as Flying Zebra uses that first committed Arctic Burn. Gets a lot of early damage here on the MJW, who can't quite land a full block, but just kind of letting him know that he's still here and happy to kind of contest a bit. But that means Nusham just kind of goes to work, does the full pull through, and both offlaners are going to be left just a little bit starved here. Already Jenkins heading elsewhere. This is that early move he likes to do, and it's going to be a smoke. I believe we saw this the last time he pulled it out. And we'll have to see if he's going to be able to come up with an early successful gank. Deceptive. The level 1 hook actually has some respectable range on it, and he's looking to get a grab on the Swindle.
Yep, no surprise they get the smokes rolling early, but I think this is a critical grab. If they get Swindles, 285 MS drops down to closer to 200 with the Rot, and they can really punish it. But it comes down to timing. I think they'll have it here, but can Shibi actually get in there to help? I think, yeah, now he can, definitely can. Holy crap, Swindles. They don't even need a hook.
Nope, he walks in, rots, he's dead.
There's nothing.
Easy setup for them. MJW kind of was in the area, but it was for the rune. And Swindle gets caught out. It's just one of those things you don't suspect the offlane Pudge to just get level 2 and okay, I'm out of here. Time to go make a kill happen. They figured he was just hiding in the dark trying to leech some XP, and they get punished for it.
This is the key smoke right here. Way2 and Z-Freak really want to succeed with this. They TP just to get him there fast. Now they have a Dark Troll Summoner, the best lead after the disruption, the War Stomp to follow that. Not bad at all. So they have some really good kill potential. In fact, MJW is under a sentry in Viz, so they're going to dance around here for a little while, try to poke him back, and that's going to be actually setting them up for their own demise.
We'll see, though. It seems like they have every tool they could ask for here. It looks like Wyvern's going to be the focal point. There is a fissure, and it blocks some of the creeps back. Can Flying Zebra make it away? Gets brought on down. There's going to be the catch of the net. And there's going to be the final auto attack. It was a valiant effort for the Fissure to try to slow them down a bit, but your smoke proves to be successful. It will just catch the Wyvern, but Complexity get themselves on the board.
And they intend to stick here. One great thing about the Chen Shadow Demon support duo is these guys are actually kind of like able to form an aggro try with a good aggressive offlaner. In fact, Chilanqua, Francis, gonna have to go for a TP here, it looks like. Otherwise, he needs a lot of support. He is in a terrible position, but he's getting some good damage on MJW.
Here comes Noosh. Walks in. Totem drop, but the creeps are starting to go to work on this storm a bit. Now they scout out MJW. He sweeps in, hits him with the overcharge. We'll be able to take him down, but he still could lose his own life to the creeps, and it looks like he will. Probably looking to buy out before that, but not as much XP is going to be shared to the other team. They get the Arctic Bird slow into Z-Freak, but they turn around. There's going to be a disruption. Zebra looking to fly away. Here comes a Centaur, gets a stomp, and they're going to be able to take him down. There's plenty of poison out there, and Way2 helps secure that one for Z-Freak in the use of his creep.
Really nice movement from Way2 and Z-Freak there, making the kills happen where they absolutely need to. Sure, they lose the Tusk, but they get the Storm Spirit. That's so important for messing with Francis's early game. And yeah, this is something that the Chen Shadow Demon in particular can do. I've seen, it's been like a year, so I'm talking very far back, but I've seen a lot of times where they can kind of go for this kind of pseudo-aggro try. They don't start in the offlane, but they sure as hell finish there, and they can really harass the enemy safe laner. Jenkins looking for a blind hook here.
Oh, he ran in
really
there. He was just moment off. If he had waited a little bit longer or came a bit sooner, he would have crossed paths with Chen, and he had a haste rune. It would have been a quick and easy grab, but the timing's not in line. He will miss the opportunity, and he'll have to walk away, not getting much from this haste rune to begin with. But he is, being a bit frustrating here to coL. I mean, Swindle now hanging in this mid lane has to start putting wards on the side just to make sure he can scout out where Jenkins is at. That means his attention has to be away from the lane, and Shibi can kind of just go to town.
And unlike last game, Templar Assassin's going to get some ancient stacks here. Double stack already up here, and I expect that to probably be snacked up at the 6-minute mark as well. They can emphasize that now, since they're kind of breaking away from the pack a bit. We're going to see also a long rotation from Nusham. It looks like they want to make Luna uncomfortable. I was going to talk about this a little bit later as she starts pushing on the tier 1, but, well, they're putting focus on it. We'll put focus on it. Ziz has been free farming, 33 last hits, is now at level 6. I was going to say, did they put too little focus on him, or were they just reacting to the Chen Shadow Demon? But it seems like it's a little bit of both. They reacted, now they know their weak point, they want to start focusing this Luna, and they have all the wherewithal to do just that.
Well, by the time, though, Complexity realized the pressure could be coming on the bottom, Z-Freak's going to be the first to rotate in, and with that new convenience, he's able to teleport his creeps right in with him. Plops down the sentry, will rid of the ward from Imagine's side, and they'll be kind of left in the dark now, and won't be able to see who hides from Complexity in their woods. And it looks like Imagine might have to take their business possibly elsewhere here. Shibi is going to get the lead in, though. Poor little Venomancer is pretty damn slow, Blaze, and not really good at being able to contest the wards is the unfortunate thing for him. We'll have to watch that one go away. And now the message is out. Shibi has a DD rune, and you better beware.
Bottom lane, though, at least 1 point in Lunar Blessing going to be doing some good tower damage here. All 3 heroes, even the Wild One getting involved. Tornado go all the way back, going just pretty much zoning out anybody trying to deny that tower. Will go down, and I don't think they stop here. There's not really heavy counter push coming in from Team Imagine. I mean, there is the Fissure, that's great, but not that spammable at this stage, and obviously Jenkins is in no way in a position to contest.
No,
so
certainly not.
They'll actually do a lot of damage. I'm not sure if they can actually kill it, though.
They'll take what they can get before Imagine just really need to get in there and find an opportunity to keep him at bay. Another stack will be made in the meantime here from your Wyvern. And Imagine, I was like, oh, maybe they'll be able to put a ward down. Give them that little bit of extra vision. They got to know. They had one on hand here for way too. It looks like he might finally take it that way. They need to make sure they can keep these ancient stacks intact. But if they get a big pick here, which they do, they lead in beautifully. Disruption. Centaur will catch the stun. Refraction, though, was able to get off. And they try to get some help, but the Eclipse comes out from Ziz, and it's just way too much for Shibby to handle. He goes down. That means that they can segue into a push on this mid-tier 1 tower, and maybe even fall back and scope out the ancient stack on the way out. Who knows? But for now, this is an easy tier 1.
Yeah, they should be able to kind of take for granted that since they didn't ward it, the Ancients are there. Whether or not they can address them with only 1 point in the Moonglaive is probably not, but I think they're moving smart. I mean, they're deathballing essentially, just taking it 1 lane at a time, as you do with a Chen, and then the Tusk has actually been getting solo experience the whole time, so they've been able to really make the most of all the lanes. And yeah, this is pretty insane. Now, we have the potential for TA to boost up and farm like crazy, but we have the potential almost to kill off Francis right there and then.
That was a nice Lucid Bleam. Knocked him in the noggin so he couldn't make that long jump. Unfortunately, they can't catch him from the other side of the tower, but it's enough to muscle him back, and that means they can continue that ball from bottom to mid, now to top lane. It looks like they'll be able to clear out another tier 1 tower, and this is a big economy boost. You can see already this net worth begin to skyrocket up their way, getting closer and closer to even a 5k net worth advantage at just about the 10-minute mark of it. And we look to Imagine to see what their response could be. I mean, do they just continue to let these towers sacrifice and fall? Their response elsewhere doesn't seem to be very exciting. Way2's in even a comfortable spot, hiding way behind the tower. They can't really pounce onto him. So Jenkins will continue to stroll, but not be able to get anything. He's still trying to get his level 6 at this point. So Imagine just have to continue
and
stalking.
just about has a mechanism, man. Like, the amount of farm that the Chen has just gotten with 1 kill, 3 assists, and all the towers, suddenly a naked mechanism comes out for Z-Freak, and that just allows them to keep the push alive for as long as they choose. And now, actually, it's going to be Shibby that kind of changes things up a little bit. He's starting to look to take an offensive approach, so I think they're going to try to draw the line at this tier 2 tower. But if Luxie wait for the Eclipse, which is 38 seconds, I still give them the advantage here.
And Complexity will just continue to put...
spread.
Yeah, they're just going to step back. I mean, the nice thing for them is once that mech does come online, which he has now, he just has the basic mech and nothing else to go with it. But that's not just a mech. It'll be soon a mech and a Hand of God. And that gets scary for Imagine. When it's set up like you have Jenkins looking to hook, bite, and then if they're not able to finish him off within that time or one big Winter's Curse, Complexity could bounce back and just kind of take over. And Imagine have to be prepared for the sustained power that Complexity are going to be flexing here soon. What about Swindle, though? Where do we build a Venomancer in this kind of game? He's got 1,800 gold, getting closer to 2k. You're thinking straight to Ags?
Yeah, it's either Veil or Axe. Those are really the only two. I mean, Midas is the third option, but I don't think they want to drag the game out. If they can just keep going and keep building momentum without going back for the Midas, then that would be great. So I think Swindle's, well, I mean, he definitely has a choice, but I don't think he will go Midas. He will look for the Axe, which is just so great all around.
Storm dancing around mid lane will eat the Gale. As Z-Freak tries to come in from behind, he will happily just jump out from any sort of trouble. But Complexity kind of showing him that we are the bullies here. And we're getting ready to
he goes Midas. Okay.
Press their advantage in. And he goes, yeah, for Midas. A bit of a greedy build-up, but he figures he has the space and is putting more emphasis on getting levels faster. Because I imagine he'll probably, if he's not getting the ult now, he's got to get, like, what, level 10 and 11? Oh, he gets hit
nice.
with the hook, though. Jenkins waiting all game for a catch like that. But there it is. This is going to be the defensive measures already coming out. Not enough to save Swindle in this instance, though. But they certainly try with the mech and disruption. Nushim almost goes down as an exchange.
Very
low.
close.
Very low. Yeah.
Magic Stick and Cold Embrace just enough to keep him up there. That was extremely difficult to hold him, actually, with all the tornadoes, the Shadow Poison just continuing to stack up. But, yeah, Chen's going to send the army home. Mothership is calling, and beyond that, yeah, that was a really good hook, and that's going to be what they need to kind of stop this level of momentum. Still, though, the Midas is complete for the Venomancer, and the reason Venomancer is probably the better one to get this, you mentioned the experience, he really wants level 16 for the value of his ultimate, and then also because he's probably one of the slowest farming agility heroes in the game.
Yeah.
You need to continue to farm in some capacity, and he's not going to do it creep by creep, so the Midas really accelerates that.
Just a day
he will look for the big creeps.
In Dota age where big mid laners are ones who can also flash farm so well. Your TAs, your Lesh, your Storm Spirit could just rid of these camps bit by bit. Venno, not so much. A casual Gale, sure. Wards, you have to take time to place them all down. And his right click is not really anything to be too impressed about. So yeah, his farm is just not that good. Midas will help for certain. And we'll see if he decides thereafter to go into that Ags, which we are banking on. But here comes Imag.
Yeah, I expect it. I think the Veil can be picked up by another, like a support Shadow Demon or something. Maybe the Chen even looks into it if he doesn't go for the drums or Vlad's. And yeah, that leaves Swindle just kind of rush it out. And right now, Magic Wand is a good overall pickup. You also notice he's mana issues. He only has 400 mana and a bottle. He does not even bother with his ultimate until level 10 and 11.
Yeah, otherwise he'll pop it off and have really nothing left to offer. Just a walking diseased filth. Top lane.
The only way you work around that is with Enchanted Mango. If you carry your Mango around, you can still use the ulti.
Makes you wonder one of those things. It's such a new item, and they still think of it as a plausible option to go for as just like a back pocket Mango. Yeah, it could do some work. Top lane, though, they are able to secure a tier 2 and even pressure out the next coming wave, as Imagine are still just kind of inching in this bottom lane, hoping someone will eventually TP back and try to defend, which no one has right now. They're just hoping to get kind of baited into a situation where Jenkins gets an easy hook from a TP. That's not going to be the case. Complexity are happy to pull back from that top lane, and they'll just kind of guide themselves down the middle now.
So just keep momentum up. We've got 3 Chen creeps, so look for probably the Wolf Commander as his 4th. And yeah, they don't need the Arcane Boost to keep this push alive, so they're just going to keep going with what they have. They might need to back up a little bit, get everybody together. Hand of God is great globally, but you want the Chen to be there. So we'll see them kind of getting at least a hook's distance away from Jenkins as I see him with this ward.
They're definitely not looking to let up at all. Have you seen the wards that Complexity are putting down? Hook catches a troll. They placed one now behind this tier 2 mid. They already placed one behind the top tier 2. They want to see who's coming to possibly defend from the side of Imagine, or maybe later on if they see him try to smoke out the front, which... Oh, a dust. Actually catches Jenkins while he has that Invis rune. Nice little catch right there. And Complexity put themselves up on the high ground.
Yeah, he's been carrying that for Shibby mostly, but they thought they might get an opening there, and they almost did. I mean, a Gale connecting would have obviously put him out completely out of position. They can dive that with the snowball. For now, though, Jenkins has a pretty good angle that he's outside of any possible detection. He'll probably get a hook. It's just on who.
Almost Swindle. Not enough, though. That's the full level 4 hook. Not going to be able to get the catch. Now that coL don't have to worry too much about the hook for at least a couple of seconds. They re-go in, and this is just what feels like a molasses of a push, but it's doing work. This tier 2 slowly inching down. You see Francis trying his best to split push up and above. coL not too worried about stuff like that. They get their tier 2 as they wish, and for the most part, they pull back and away. Now, is it just following the docket here, Blaze, and they go to bottom thereafter? I mean, is there really much that could stop them?
I could ward for Roche. I think that would be a pretty good option. Roshan's a pretty big aspect of following through. And although the tier 2 is half, it's also they have to all assemble the troops. Everybody move down bottom. It's very time inefficient. So I think getting some wards up, looking at Roche as an option. I would say smoke ganking the jungle, but they did lose their central ward, so they won't be able to get clear intel unless somebody just happens to walk by the one they have up top.
Well, to their benefit, to make the Roche process a lot easier, Medallion was complete for MJW on his Tusk. But imagine kind of getting the idea that maybe a Roche is a potential option. They're going to pre-place a trap and drop a ward here while smoked up. Ooh, nice. Little Invis rune. Jenkins will take that one up. And look at this. They head towards the bottom. And uh-oh, Swindle's alone, but he's got a haste rune. Can't get away from the fissure. Jenkins needs to get close enough for a bite. And he'll hold off the bite probably till the back end of the curse. And that will lead to the demise of the Venomancer. Swindle just kind of feeling pretty confident he can farm out on the side with the haste rune. Will get taken down.
I wonder if the TA could do Roche now. I mean, she doesn't have much mana to work with, but it's still TA. I think that there's some consideration for it while the Venomancer's down.
Yeah, possibly. Almost has enough money for the second hammer. Purchases it now. I mean, obviously, it'd be ideal if she's able to quick flash farm up this
That's the whole thing.
Desolator.
She had the recipe, so...
Again, Shibby does that to me.
Yeah.
Hook gonna miss. Jenkins gets his own disruption and will decide to go right for the TP. Good call. Makes it away from trouble. But, yeah, so Desolator done. Not near the pit, though. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to go there.
Still a great pickoff. Slows down Swindles. He doesn't lose any Midas time, though. He's used it, about to use it for the third time and really build himself up. Already level 11. That's the key timing. Now, you feel confident if you're Swindamelons. Luna's level 11. Venomancer's level 11. Those heroes do so much more with their second point and their ultimate. Now, as if they fight off the wave, the Luna Eclipse can do amazing work. If they fight on the wave, then they've got all the creeps and Venomancer's disables to work with. So I feel like they're confident no matter what, as long as they're moving as 5. But it comes back to my point earlier, can they move efficiently? We're going to see Chen's creeps nearly die. I think, yeah, we could see French just clean those up, but he's a little afraid, I guess.
And for him and his farm, it's looking pretty similar to what we saw in the previous game, Blaze. He's still trying to finish out that first Bloodstone. But I imagine, you know, by the time the high ground aggression comes from complexity, yeah, he'll have that Bloodstone done. But is there something he might need to consider different to help with this counter push? Now, hold it a second. Look at complexity roll around the corner here, and they catch Zebra with his pants down, and they roll on in. Chen's going to pop out the heal now. They're going to be able to take out Jenkins easily with Ziz and company, and that means a follow-up on the Wyvern thereafter. And that means that complexity now come in from this bottom lane, and they're going to be able to secure a tier 2.
Yeah, I think Nusham has to be given farm party for 100 gold. Like, he needs to finish his Blink Dagger and just get home immediately. If he can do that, catch them off guard with a Blink, it's huge. So he'll just spam his spells, get these Wild Wings TP immediately, and they'll go for the Echo play as they need to.
He's about to get it down, but here comes trouble. Complexity already starting to knock down this tier 3. And a zip in from Storm. Keeps him back a bit.
Smoke, smoke, smoke! Oh, Jenkins didn't smoke.
Oh.
Nusham, he has to be very careful how he moves here, or they'll see the blink.
Well, at least he gets a snag of a little troll. But, yep, not the catch they'd wanted.
They backed out anyways, that's fine. So, no surprise factor with the Blink Dagger, but their base is fine.
And coL gets to pull back and defend their tier 1s even further.
We still haven't seen a Poison Nova this game.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he finally leveled it up, which is the first thing, and now he has a point booster, so he has mana to at least back it up. But you're right, it hasn't really been the breakout period where he needs to utilize the Nova. I mean, what has this factor been in this game outside of the Nova then? Has it been enough to frustrate Imagine a bit? I mean, outside of a Nova, what is a Venomancer, you know? The casual Gale here and some wards for vision?
Plague wards are great for pushing, especially against the Pudge. You get the vision you need. The Gales have been really on point. He's been doing some really good Gales, though it might not be enough to save him with this big flank. They'll see the smoke popped, and he'll pop a Nova onto 3 heroes. Still going to go down quickly.
Oh, good snag there at the end. The disruption almost came out, but Jenkins might have hooked himself into a bit of trouble. There's going to be the Echo. Winter's Curse is a follow-up. They roll in. Ziz in a bit of trouble here. Gets the Eclipse off, though, and they already start going to town. They've dropped out Shibby and Jenkins, and they're looking for more. Zebra is going to be put on the side. We'll get the Cold Embrace off. And Francis is looking to try to help him here. Getting some right clicks out, but the Wyvern will go down. He goes to the low ground to make it away, and now it's the focal of Noosh. But the Blink Dagger puts him in a bit of a safe spot. Turns
they
back.
Might be able to turn this.
Fissure. Oh,
MJW
no.
is going to die.
Nice sidestep with the snowball. But now, look at this. It's going to be suddenly Francis showing back up, and they could go for MJW as the rest of Complexity have already pulled out. No, they're not going to fall through.
Yeah, I think Francis didn't get a chance to use the Soul Ring right when the Bloodstone completed. The courier brought it in the middle of the fight, so maybe 150 mana you get a kill. But either way, they don't get the fight they wanted, obviously, because the Winter's Curse was disrupted. They got hit by a 3-man Poison Nova, but it's still not a bad engagement outside the base, considering Complexity are a 5-man lineup. The fact that they took a 5v5 and still trade is not the end of the world. I think that they can start kind of spreading out a little bit across the map. The gem still stays in the hands of Way 2, though, and that's going to be a critical thing for the next several minutes and perhaps the rest of the game. Beyond that, the cloaks are coming out. It looks like a pipe for Z-Freak and a Glimmer Cape for Way 2. but maybe the Flying Zebra can pick up one of those two as well.
Now, they've been looking for an opportunity to get Swindle atop, but Swindle might end up just going right to them. And he will. Oh, quick blink, though. He's away from trouble. Tries to put a ward down for a bit of vision here, and he looks to go and hide out somewhere, but he has no TP. And Jenkins is like, maybe he's already here trying to buy a TP, but he's not. Now they see each other. Uh-oh. Cross pass, move back in. He's able to get the Poison Nova off, but there's going to be the hook and the bite follow-up, and he will go down. And they both promptly go back to base to heal up. But hey, Swindle, space created! The rest of my team are in the Fountain Fools, and they're farming up for a Roche. But look at this, Storm on the high ground.
They see him. The Ice Shard, Snowball, he has to back out.
Does pull Tusk away from the pit. And Ziz continues to go work. Curse, though, is there. Comes in from Zebra. A jump in. They're looking to burst down the pit. Can they get the grab? No one's grabbed it yet. It's still there. They're uppercutting. Oh, has anyone grabbed it yet? There's a hot mess in the pit, and they're all fighting for it. It's a Royal Rumble. Echo comes out. Absolute destruction. Zebra gets a double, and finally, Imagine, snag up the Aegis. And now they look for more. Wait 2 gets on the high ground to TP, but he's not going anywhere. Nushin will deny him with the totem. And look at Team Imagine. They come back in one hell of a fight. Absolute chaos in the Roche pit. And they managed to get the Aegis at the end.
Chaos Dunks, that is. Man, that was a great combo coming in from Imagine. They're able to jump in, the Winter Wyvern Curse, setting up so much. And where it seemed like it was just going to be a quick snatch of the Aegis, they were able to buy themselves enough time with Francis's position there. The Tusk left, they got distracted, they didn't want to kill the Roche until they handled the Storm, and that, like 5 seconds of delay, allowed everybody from Imagine to get position and drop the hammer onto Complexity. A tremendous fight, surging forward a moment. Got an Aegis on their Storm. He's going to be racking the Bloodstone charges even more now. He's got 12 already. 2,400 gold in the bank. I feel like Storm is just alive.
Yeah, that put the game back even. Look at the net worth. It's now back in favor of Imagine. What was once near, 7,500 net worth? Just, woo! Brace yourself for the impact going back right on down. Team Imagine have definitely taken this game right back their way. And you got to get a bit nervous for Complexity, Blaze. I mean, as the clock ticks and game gets later, and if Imagine get more farmed, what happens to our precious Venomancer and Chen and even Shadow Demon? Do these heroes fall off? I mean, it had been a while since I've really seen them in play here. But I have to imagine they're just not going to be as potent as they once were.
The one big thing is they don't have control against the Storm Spirit. We talked about that in the drafting phase, saying they'll either draft around the Storm Spirit or they'll ban the Storm Spirit. They did neither. They were afraid of things like Broodmother pushing against Shadow Demon Chen. That's a real problem, but they still leave the Storm in the pool. So they have only the Lucent Beam and the Tusk spells, as far as hard to save those, unless the Chen neutrals are like perfect. So what we're looking at there is, the late game, they need to find a way to address the Storm. I feel like, for example, an Aghanims on Shadow Demon deletes Templar Assassin. She can't stay on her target to save her life because all the demonic purge is going to be flying about. But the Storm will still have pretty much free reign.
Ziz is able to quickly farm up an Ancient Staff here, but he's going to probably be at attendance for this bottom lane if Imagine continue to move in, which it looks like could be the case. That Splinter Blast does a lot of work onto Chen and his precious creeps. I gotta say, that is a nice little counter between the two heroes. Chen will always have those creeps nearby, which means easy Splinter Blast whenever you catch one of them. Now, Imagine are going to be pulling back. They're not going to push into this tier 2 and just kind of reevaluate the situation, though. Time is on their side as long as they still have this Aegis to utilize. They'll kind of keep the game going at their pace.
Now, they need to get some vision out. They're going to scout from the high ground, and obviously Complexity know the risks, but maybe not to the degree that it is literally impending. Blink Dagger's up for the Shaker Force soon as well, and with the Blink of the Pudge, I feel like they have the tools to initiate the key fights. They still have this Aegis, they still want to use this Aegis, so we're really seeing Imagine taking an offensive stance, and it's kind of Complexity that are just trying to spread the map at this point. It's hard to do it when your Luna can't actually item slot for a TP, though, because it's very, very risky.
Not able to get this tier 2 down yet. Gale will go out from Swindle, and it does end up connecting even through the leap. 4k gold in reserve here for Francis as he still holds the Aegis. It's got to be up in about 1 minute time, though. So they recognize that. They'll pull back and away, and they will not be able to get any objectives done. But they're just already still very happy with how they've gotten themselves back into the game. Being able to hold it, though, is a key thing. And grabbing up that gem certainly helps out. Jenkins will be the one to hold that. And just because of the huge swing, you can see the items all coming in now. Glimmer Cape in hand here for your Wyvern. Jenkins now has that Blink Dagger, obviously. This is big stuff. We'll have to see if Complexity are going to be able to answer. Solar Crest fully complete here for MJW. But what is going to be their next big item? Is it just waiting out for Swindle's Ags and hoping that that's going to be the ticket?
Yeah, I would say Ags is obviously your key step up. I mean, the Luna getting more farm, maybe going BKB here, maybe. It is important that she doesn't get disabled, but she also still will get hit by like 3 other things. I'd say she goes BKB. So BKB on Luna and Ags on Veno, I think that's when you're confident to smoke for a gank. I don't know if they'll ever be confident in this game once again. Like, they had so much going for them at like 6,000 plus net worth advantage, all the towers off the map, and then imagine just wipe them out because they made one mistake and they took a little bit too long for the Roche. So I feel like their confidence is shaken for the rest of the game. It just comes down to persevering through that. And finishing the Ags, getting a BKB and Luna, those two should move them in the right direction to getting back online.
Shiva is going to be complete here for Francis on his Storm. As Imagine do waltz down that mid lane. Complexity relieve the pressure up here at the top, but eventually will have to fall back, as we already have seen many a time how much work TA could do on these towers. As Shibby already goes to town, and look at this. Do they have the vision of the high ground? They will not see Pudge there. And if they don't, he could move in and get a good hook catch. Oh, wow. Somehow still grabs MJW. But he's able to get the quick snowball off. The follow-up does come in, though, from Francis. Forces out Disruption. Swindle even commits in. Catches 2 with a Poison Nova. That forces out now a Wyvern Curse onto Z-Freak. He gets taken care of. Hook onto Swindle. But Jenkins begins to rot away from the poison damage in his own rot. Swindle will stay alive and bottle up, but they've already committed in. They're going to get Ziz down. And that is a big kill. 1 minute, no buyback. A follow-up on the way, too. And Team Imagine now in a commanding spot for Game 3 to take it. And they get the Radiant Courier. Oh, this is terrible for Complexity. Oh, no.
And Swindle can't punish it. In fact, he'll get bursted down. A huge blink play from Shibby, but he will die under tower for it. Unable to get the distance to go for that refraction. Just thought if he was outside the tier 4 range, of course he would have lived. I gotta commend Shibby for the way he played that fight. That was actually insane from him, because I've been talking about how difficult it is for him to actually get in range of his targets. But with Flying Zebra hitting the 2-man Witness Curse, your targets are stationary, you get an opportunity. So what happened was he got hit by the Demonic Purge, immediately pops BKB double damage. And having that 10 seconds of Magic Immunity and the DD Rune on you that can no longer be purged, he's just able to do some amazing things. He did almost all the damage that Imagine needed in that fight, and yeah, that really hurt Complexity.
To their benefit, though, Imagine we're not able to do any sort of significant base damage. Tier 3 still stands pretty damn strong. And Chen, who had sent all of his creeps up to the top lane to kind of split it a bit, got a little bit of work on the Tier 3. Nothing too impressive. But coL will still have a home. They still have a Rax, but they are falling behind in the economy. And Swindle, who shows himself in the top lane here, could run into a bit of trouble, but it looks like Francis doesn't want to take what could be a bait, and it very well could have turned into a bait. All the help now falling behind Swindle. He just opts to go elsewhere, and we'll come across a nice little haste rune here. So, where do we go from here, Blaze? For Complexity, recognizing now that maybe the power advantage could be going to the Dire side, what do you need to do? What is the do you already plot out for maybe the next potential Roche? Or are you just trying to keep the lanes back? Do you just commit as 5 and hope you can get every last ounce of your death ball while you can?
I don't know how they can actually set up for a Roche when they don't have any map vision. The biggest issue right now is they know that the enemy has a gem. Waits, you bought it and lost it. And it's been a thorn in their side ever since. If you look at the ward that's radiant and close to the river, this is an anti-gem ward. This is it gives really bad vision, just barely a little bit across the river, and obviously on that high ground point. But the advantage of it is that it's behind the trees. It's unlikely to be scouted even under being held by a gem. So it's a really bad ward, but they're having to drop these kinds of wards just to get an inkling of what's going on around the map, because there's a gem that's still in the hands of Imagine and still will remain to be. We do see, obviously, Storm's having some fun. This is what we'll remember from their game versus High Council. However, he's going to have to pop a haste rune, and luckily is far away from that Shadow Demon, or he could have been punished pretty heavily there.
able to just hastily get the hell out of there. And now coL. We'll see if they stand and play. Already Ziz rotates back to the mid lane for his Luna to farm up and keep the pressure back. Lucian, who had been there, now, we made the call out like, oh, he's able to finally finish out his blink. Well, now he's got a blink and a force and 1,000 gold. So he's in a great spot. And as he heads back up through, could cross pass with Swindle. He sees him, blinks in. Swindle quickly blinks away. Very close.
So they scout things out. Z-Freak doesn't get much as far as an army goes, just 2 Dark Troll Summoners. That's been managed really nicely by Francis for the most part. The Storm's just been jumping on these creeps, knocking them down, and Z-Freak's pretty much like been constantly persuading. Like, he's every single time there's a small engagement, he only walks away with like 1 or 2 creeps, and as a result, he's taking creeps that will inevitably be farmed by Team Imagine. So he's actually taking money from his own team's pockets.
Swindle's in trouble. If Jenkins wanted this, I mean, he had the blink and the hook, but didn't want to overcommit.
There's so much behind him, though. Like, the Shadow Demon Disruption alone would make things difficult, and then you're walking into kind of the firing squad from that point forward.
Yeah. He's trying to get that Force Staff complete. That makes so much for being able to close the gap. And Jenkins wants to get a hook and catch him out of position. It'd be a bit easier. Or if he wanted to blink in, bite set up, and be able to force away to safety, that's still an option there. But is it a bit surprising that he's not, like, getting a pipe or anything to help with the Venomancer? Do Imagine not really need to care about the Venomancer? It doesn't seem like they've been taking too many measures to deal with it. They have the 1 Glimmer Cape on Zebra and his heal, but outside of that, not really much to deal with the Nova.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the BKB will help for a while, but the key difference between the really old Venomancer and the current one is that Nova will still inflict whether or not that person's immune. It's just, and invisible for that matter. You can meld, you can BKB, but you'll still get the debuff. It's only when you lose the BKB that you actually start taking damage, though. So at least for now, I don't think that that's the end of the world, because they have a BKB and because Storm can nullify it in other ways. But yeah, I think long-term a pipe would still be a worthy investment. It's just not an absolute necessity. It's probably Pudge's next item.
Whoa! Misclick there. Uppercut's going to be catching a creep. Storm continues to be an irritation right now for Complexity in this top lane after securing the tier 2. He is now dancing with them up in the high ground. The rest of his team are going behind the back, and they're moving in. They're going to get a quick Roche. And Storm is just doing all he can to kind of prevent them from having anything to do with it. But he will show up now. And they will hand him over the Aegis, but look who's already en route. Complexity popped their smoke, and they're heading in. I don't know, though. It's already done. Aegis is snapped up.
Yeah, and they have to back off now.
They don't want to back
off. They want to go, but they can't. They really can't go in that choke point unless there's somebody that's completely straggling behind.
Jenkins, he's there. They don't see him. They see Jenkins. Jenkins doesn't see them.
Link.
There they go. Big jump in with a good Nova, but the force away from Jenkins gets him in a safe spot, and they're able to turn around for MJW with the Winter's Curse. But he gets saved. Nice disruption. They look for way too glimmers up. Now they can't see him, but they got the gem, which is now going to be dropped and quickly snagged up. Big echo catch between the two, but not biggest of damage. And this could be Complexity's time to fight. They're going to be able to heal off. Now Shivy shows up, and that's where the damage comes from. He looks to go for Swindle while the other company goes for Z-Freak. It looks like they'll get Z-Freak down first. Swindle thereafter. Eclipse comes in, though, from Ziz, and Shivy's still cleaning up. They pull Ziz out and away, look to go for the bite. He's going to get the grab on the Jenkins, but he is now the lone survivor. Ziz is on retreat mode here, trying to run with really nowhere to hide. Just trying to find a spot for a TP. Goes for it. Not getting anywhere. They move in. They get the grab. Mega kill for Francis. And Imagine have just wiped out Complexity.
Yeah, and again, it just comes down to Complexity are doing a really good job of controlling Shibby, but the fight lasts too damn long. The fact is, they just didn't get the Nova on the heroes that they needed to. There was no essential a time limit on this fight. So Shibby waits out a demonic purge, a venomous gale, blinks on multiple targets, and still ends up doing 3,000 damage this fight. Despite them putting Solar Crest and all these slows on him, he still does 3,000 damage. And it just comes down to the fact that they just can't end the fight on their terms.
Storm is happy just to commit the second he even gets the brief glimpse of any support. He makes the first go into way 2, and once he glimmers up, he just goes for Chen instead and makes it look easy. Now Chen's going to be out. 40 seconds. I mean, he already had committed his hand to God, but that means there's not going to be a mech at least. But here we go. MJW getting drawn out from the base. Now getting caught with a fissure. That means, look at this, Francis can go toe-to-toe with Swindle. He still feels confident as he has his Aegis. He will fight to the bitter end. Swindle just drops the Nova, but he will eventually go down. That forces the Aegis out. Swindle actually still alive, but there's going to be the urn. Ooh, he's living. No! Gets snagged up from Jenkins. What a beautiful grab for him. Heartbroken. And now the Raxes are exposed, and Shimmy goes to work while Storm begins to style. He moves right back by the fountain, starts dancing around with MJW and Zizabit.
Manta style.
And he is just forcing it all out from him and drawing him away, and Jenkins joins him up and gets a beautiful grab on the Z-Freak, and they'll clean him up, or not. There's going to be the mech, there's the pull through, and they'll get the grab. While this goes on, Shimmy had just annihilated the mid lane. The Rax are already gone, and they're starting work on bottom, Blaze, and it looks like Team Imagine might be moving their way into the grand final at this pace.
Yeah, speaking of style, he's got a Manta now. Starts Bear just playing with his food at this point. Really putting on a clinic. The way he's playing this new, well, at least from my eyes, a new Rat Dota Storm Spirit that just continues to pressure lanes with absolutely no risk. Like, there's almost no way you can kill the Storm when he has the Lincolns, the TP, and just the ability, the tons of mana. And so he knows his limits. He knows what the enemy can do to him. He avoids it, and he keeps the lanes pushed out. It allows Imagine to take this immense amount of map control, and from there they just execute really well in these past several fights. Amazing play coming from Team Imagine, making it so now there are so many heroes you have to consider banning against this team. The Storm Spirit, the Lina, the Naga Siren. There's so much that they can bring to the table, and it just, this versatility is something that Team Leviathan was lacking, and now entertains. This is incredible.
Definitely, with them bringing in Francis, a.k.a. Meniski, Fangay, a.k.a. Charlinqual, whatever you want to call him, has clearly been a star child for this team. This is the most successful run I have seen this team do so far. I have been watching them since they were first brought in for, I believe, the Summit 2 qualifier run when they just changed over from Flipside Tactics NA to become Team Leviathan, and they always had very entertaining games. You always had the Jenkins Pudge, at the time the Shredder Troll, before it was a Troll, and they always made for great entertainment, and there always was that fan base, but the success never really came with it, and they were always going to not even be the bridesmaid, but they were like the flower girl for all these events, and they just would not really be able to participate with the big boys. But here they are now. They have just secured their way into a grand final, going toe-to-toe with Cloud9, who many consider that secondary
I'm so
team.
Excited for that.
This is going to be super hype. I'm looking forward to it, and you guys should as well. That matchup is going to be happening tomorrow. It's a full best of 5, and if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be no winner's bracket or no sort of winner's advantage. It's just a full, clean best of 5. So with that said, we wrap up action today. Props, of course, to Complexity with their long run, but it will end here, and that's going to do it. This is coL Guy for Beyond the Summit. Hit me up on my Twitter at coL Guy, and of course, shout outs again and thankful